podcast, where evidence meets encouragement and information becomes transformation. I'm Dr. Ferris Corbett, alongside my colleague, Dr. Deidra Willis, and we want to thank you for joining us today. We don't take it lightly that you've chosen to spend this time with us. Here at Health Talk, our goal is simple: to provide you with clear, trustworthy, and practical health information so that you can make informed decisions about your life, your wellness, and the well-being of those you love. From public health to mental health, from prevention to healing, we believe knowledge is power, but wisdom is action. And together, we'll explore both. So, settle in, open your mind and heart, and let's take this journey toward health, hope, and wholeness together.
All right. Are we ready? Are we ready? Hello, everybody, and good evening. I hope you are ready for another exciting episode of Health Talk. And we are, guess what? We're excited to have you here with us. We are. We really, truly are. All right. So, with that being said, let's get ready to get started. All right. So I would like to begin by saying good evening and welcome back to Health Talk. I'm Dr. Ferris Corbett, along with my counterpart, Dr. Deidra Willis, who is unable to be with us on tonight. It's Friday, August the 22nd, and tonight we're talking on a subject uh, that hit close to home for almost all of us, and that is ultra processed food and how they may be linked to cancer. So, again, that topic tonight is ultra processed food and how it can be linked to cancers. So, gather your friends, gather your family, gather your loved one, tag somebody, share, like, and share. Let them know that Health Talk is on the air, and we're talking about tonight ultra processed food and how it may be linked to your risk for cancer. Yeah. So we're going to discuss that tonight. But to ground our conversation, let's look to scripture. In First Corinthians, the third chapter, 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter, verse number 31 in the NIV. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. What we put in our bodies matter, not just for today, but for the long haul. And tonight, we will look at what the science is telling us about the food we eat every single day. But before we dive into that, we will go ahead with our Did You Know fact of the day. So, our Did You Know fact of the day is: Did you know that 60% of the calories consumed in the United States diet come from ultra processed foods? Did you know that? 60% of the calories that we consume in the United States in our diet comes from ultra processed food. That's over half of the calories that we take in on a day-to-day basis. It's from ultra processed food. That's should be alarming to us, you, me, and everybody else. That means that the majority of what many people eat is not whole food. It is engineered, processed food. And that is where the concern begins. I think I'll say that one more time. That means that the majority of what we as a people consume is not whole food, but it is food that is engineered and processed. And this is a major concern. So let's talk about it. And that information, that source comes from the National Institution of Health 2022-5. So let's start with the basic. Ultra processed food are items that go beyond simple cooking or preservation. They're made with additives, preservatives, artificial colors, flavor, flavoring, stabilizer, and refined ingredients stripped of natural nutrients. Think about that. And we just said that 60% of our calorie comes from this ultra processed food. So let that thought sink in for just a few minutes. Okay? Let that thought sink in for just a few minutes. Ultra processed food, they're normally contain some type of additive, some type of preservative, some type of artificial coloring, some type of added flavoring, some type of stabilizer, and some type of refined ingredients that have been stripped of its natural nutrients. That is something to really, really, really stop and think about what we're consuming and putting in our body. Now, I want to show you a little something here. All right, here we have whole food. Here's some examples of what we can consume and that is considered as being whole food. Um, Lemons, egg, nuts, salmon, tomatoes, blueberry, uh, carrots, banana. All these are considered whole food, meaning that they're natural. There's nothing, no artificial uh, colorings to this, no flavoring to these. They're not refined and stripped of their nutrients. They don't have any type of preservative added to them, nor do they have any type of added ingredients. These are what we consider whole food. And I want you to think about what we mentioned earlier, that 60% of our calories that we consume in our diet on a day-to-day basis, 60% of that comes from ultra processed food. Now, that is really something to stop and really, really think about, people. All right. Now, some examples of ultra processed food, I'm sure everybody is aware of those items. Things such as packed chips and cookies, as you can see in the display, sodas and energy drinks, things such as processed meat like hot dogs. We don't have any hot dogs in the example there. Hot dogs or deli slices, but we do have processed foods such as hamburgers and pizza and the one next to the hamburger is a fish sandwich, processed fish, French fries. These are the processed French fries. Now you can make your own French fries at home, which is more healthier for you. Donuts. These are all examples of ultra processed food. Okay, so remember, ultra processed food, they are made with some type of additive. They have preservative. They have some type of artificial coloring. They have some type of flavoring, stabilizer, and they have been stripped of their natural nutrients. Again, this is your example of what is considered to be ultra processed food. And here is your example of what is considered to be whole food. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. Let's keep those two things in mind. All right, now let's move on. Like I said, these ultra processed food, they're designed. their purpose is to make them taste good, to last long, and to be convenient. Okay, that's the whole objective of these ultra processed food is to number one, make them taste good. Number two, make them to last longer. That's why they have those preservatives in them. And to make them to be convenient, something quick. But they often lack the nutrients that our bodies need, and they oftentimes are overloaded with sugar, salt, and unhealthy fat, as you saw in the image that we displayed for you on the screen. So that is something to think about. And remember, 60% of our calories that we eat on a day-to-day basis consist of those items that I just showed you as part of the ultra processed food. That is something to really think about, people. Okay? Now, new research has uncovered that ultra processed food may be linked to increased risk of colon cancer. So think about that. And remember, 60% of what we consume every day is ultra processed food. And now there's new research, new study that have shown that ultra processed food may be linked to an increased risk of colon cancer. Now, scientists believe that the reason this is because it's partly due to inflammatory lipids and chemical compounds that are formed during the food processing, which can damage the lining of your gut and disrupt those good microbia in your gut that we talked about on the other night. And as a result, over time, this creates condition where cancer cells can develop and thrive. So I want you to pause for just a minute and think about that. 60% of what we consume on a daily basis as part of our caloric intake comes from ultra processed food. Research has shown that such ultra processed food may increase our risk for colon cancer. Think about that, people. All right. If you're watching us, please stay to the end. We have a question and answer session that we want you to participate in, that we want you to become a part of. So make sure you hang around until the end, okay? And be a part of our discussion question at the end. Hang in there with us until the end, okay? We appreciate that. And also, drop in the comment section, in the chat section. Let us know where you're from. We love to hear where you're watching us from, whether you're watching us live now or if you would catch us on replay. Please drop in the chat area and the comment area down below where you are watching us from. We would love to hear that. All right, so let's move on. Our next thing now, on the flip side, study also show that diets that are rich in whole food, like leafy greens, fruits, whole grain, and omega-3 seafood, may help offset this damage. In fact, modified fish oil are being explored for their potential to reduce the risk for colon cancer. So remember, the new research have shown that ultra processed food may increase the risk for colon cancer. Also, studies have shown that whole food and modified fish oil may offset this and help reduce that risk for colon cancer. The key message here is that the more whole and minimally processed food that you eat, the more your body is supported in fighting disease. Remember from last night that we said that 70% of your immune system is in your gut. Okay. Now, it is important to remember no one is saying you can never have a slice of pizza or eat a bag of chip. No, we're not saying that. But when these ultra processed food make up most of your diet, the risk goes up. Okay. So what are we basically saying? It's okay to have these things, but have them in moderation, not making it the bulk of the dietary intake as processed food. Always, getting fast food from a restaurant, uh, buying all this processed meats and stuff like that there. Okay. The more ultra processed food that you consume, the greater the possibility of your risk for cancer. The more whole food you eat, the lesser the possibility of your risk for colon cancer. Okay, so just keep that in mind. The more ultra processed food that I consume, keep that in mind. The most ultra processed food that I consume, the higher my risk is for potential cancer. Okay, and the more whole food I eat, the lesser my chance for colon cancer. Okay, keep that in mind. Just please keep that in mind. All right, moving along. Now, because your risk is increased when you consume ultra processed food, this has become a public health issue. Okay, processed foods are often cheaper and more accessible. You remember what we said earlier? They're convenient. So they're more cheaper, they're often cheaper and more accessible, which means communities facing food insecurity may be hit hardest. Okay, so think about that. It could potentially become a real public health issue. Addressing this issue is not just about individual willpower, but it is about creating healthier food systems, uh, or creating healthy food system uh, in the schools, in community program. So it's all about making healthier food accessible and cheaper. Because a lot of people, one of the things that uh, some people be concerned with is the prices of eating healthy, the prices of having whole food uh, can be expensive. So that is where we as public health practitioners must, you know, come up with ways and programs that can help in those communities that may be at risk, ways to incorporate and introduce programs where healthier foods are introduced uh, into the school systems and into community programs, and make them more affordable for those individuals in those communities that may be at higher risk. Okay. So, how do we begin to, shift away from this ultra processed food without feeling overwhelmed? Good question. One thing we can do is read our labels. Okay. If the ingredient list, if those ingredients that are on that label, if it is long and is filled with words that you cannot pronounce, then the chances are it is likely ultra processed. Okay. So reading the labels, look at the labels on the food that you're purchasing, and look and see if that list is long or it contains a whole lot of words that you cannot pronounce. 9 times out of 10, it is likely to be ultra processed. Okay. Um, so you want to look for maybe one or two items listed on there to understand that is not ultra processed. Okay. Number two, what you can do is uh, you can, sorry about that. I don't know what just happened. My computer went crazy. Sorry about that. So the second thing that you can do is add, do not subtract. Okay, what do I mean by that? What do I mean when I say add, do not subtract? What I mean is instead of focus only cutting out certain foods, focus on adding more fruits into your diet, more vegetables into your diet, more whole grain into your diet. So don't just focus on, oh, I got to cut this out, oh, I got to cut that out. You know, don't let your attention be on what you need to take away. Let your focus be on what do I need to add? I need to add more vegetables into my diet. I need to add more fruits into my diet. I need to add more whole grain. So focus on adding and not subtracting. And we talked about, excuse me, we talked about this on last night also, that smart swap, that smart swap. And what that is instead of drinking those sodas, drink some sparkling water. Or if you don't want to have the appetite for sparkling water, and this one I know a lot of people are going to say they don't like drinking water, but just plain water, plain tap water with some mint leaves and some lemon. And you can do the same thing to the sparkling water. Add you some mint leaves and some lemon to that. Okay? Instead of having that big old bag of potato chips, grab your can of nuts and get you some whole nuts. And want to be careful with buying those canned peanuts because some of those are loaded with salt. So you want to be careful with those, okay? Also, instead of, you know, I know it's quick, I know it's convenient. Instead of grabbing that frozen TV dinner and tossing it in that microwave because you don't have time, sit down and have a good home cooked meal. And one of the things you can do for the sake of time is to prep ahead. So what that means is start planning you some meals beforehand. Set you out some meals beforehand. Cook up some meal and put them in containers beforehand. So when you are pressed for time, you already have a good home cooked meal, and you can just grab it out of the refrigerator, pop that in the microwave instead of reaching in the freezer and getting out a frozen TV dinner and throwing that in the microwave. Okay, so smart swap. Second thing is cook simple. Meals do not have to be, gourmet meal. Get just like some roasted vegetables or grilled chicken or some beans with some rice. They are affordable and they're nutrition. They're full of nourishment. So cook simple. You don't have to do this elaborate gourmet meal. Now, if you want to do that on occasions, by all means do so. But because of time and everyone is so busy nowadays, so much is going on, cook something simple. And even in that, you can do that meal prep. Cook something real simple, put it in the refrigerator, pop it in the mic when you're in a hurry and don't have time. All right. And the second thing is the last thing is plan ahead. Having healthy snacks ready makes you less likely to reach for processed convenient food. In other words, have your bag of peanuts somewhere around. And again, be cautious with that. Look for the ones that do not contain a lot of salt. Have your apple or banana somewhere nearby, instead of, quickly grabbing your bag of chips and grabbing your soda. Have that bottle of sparkling water with your lemon and a mint leaf in there, or just regular tap water with lemon and a mint leaf in there, and have you some apples, or bananas, some celery, some little carrots, baby carrots, All these, instead of having to grab that potato chips when you got that craving for something, okay? Because that's one of the things that ultra processed food does. It appeals to your craving. It appeals to that sugar thing to you, and it just draws you in. The more you eat, the more you want, because that taste is there, and that's its purpose. It's manufactured. It is processed for that purpose. Okay, and just again, I cannot stress enough the fact that 60%, over half of the caloric intake that we as human beings consume on a day-to-day basis, 60% of it consists of those ultra processed food that we're talking about. That is a that's over half of your caloric intake. And they don't have any nutritional value to them. They may have a little bit, but they're really not, because they're processed and they've been stripped of their real natural nutrients. And in the place of the natural nutrients it had, as I said, it's got artificial color, artificial flavoring, it's got preservative, and all those things. So think again. Let me let me go back to the illustration that we displayed earlier. Keep this in mind. I want you to please, this is very important, because, as I said, research has shown that ultra processed food increase our risk for colon cancer. Okay? Now, again, these are some examples of your whole food. These are some of the things that you want to make sure that you're consuming on a day-to-day basis. Okay? These are whole food. And I know some of you may not, you know, like some of these foods, and some of you may love some of these food, but I want you to start thinking again, retraining your brain. I need to eat more whole food. Remember, we said one of the things that you can start doing to help is to think about adding and not subtracting. Don't think about, well, I got to give up my pizza. No, you don't have to give up your pizza. Do it in moderation, but you want to add some of these whole food. Okay. And again, these are examples of the whole food, and these are your examples of those ultra processed food. And I'm sure everybody can attest to these items right here. Okay, so that is something to think about. All right, I just want to, re-illustrate that. Okay, remember, every swap is a step in the right direction. All right, now we come to the part that everybody can be a part of. We're going to do some discussion question, um, so that you, as part of our audience, can participate in our discussion on tonight. Okay, so the first question, and again, your response, you can put that response down in the chat, in the comment area, because what you respond, how you respond, could very well help somebody else. Okay, so the first thing we want to ask is, what processed food do you find hardest to give up, and why? So if you're watching us on live, go ahead in the comment section, in this chat area, answer that question there. What processed food do you find hardest to give up, and why? And if you're catching this on replay, please make sure that you leave your response in the comment section. So again, the question is, what processed food do you find hardest to give up, and why? You can go ahead and leave your response in the chat area. We would love to hear from you. We'd love to hear what you have to say. And remember, whatever your response is, somebody else may benefit from what your response is, and they may be having the same struggle or the same concerns about the same processed food, and we can be a support to one another to move away from uh, those ultra processed food and incorporating more healthy food. Again, the question is, what processed food do you find hardest to give up and why? Why is that? Um, in a way of being transparent, one of my processed food items that I have find challenges to give up, and I say it jokingly, but I'm also serious, and that is my name is Ferris, and I'm a sweetaholic because I love my sweets. So that would be my testament to you as a form of transparency that the processed food that I have trouble with is sweets, and it doesn't matter what kind of sweet it is. I just have a problem with. I will say that I am 95% better than I used to be because there was a time that's all my diet consists of was purely sweets. So I am 95% better. I'm 95% better. 95%. Okay. All right. Now, our second question we want you to provide us a response to is, have you noticed a difference in how you feel when you eat more whole food compared to processed food? So, do you feel it different when you eat more fresh fruits and vegetables as opposed to eating a bag of chip and drinking your soda? So, do you feel a difference when you do that? And I can attest to that, being transparent again. I notice when I do not eat as much sweets, I do feel more energized because see one thing that those sweets does because it's a sugary snack, it raises your blood sugar level and then eventually you crash. So you start feeling groggy and fatigue. So that is my testament to you as being transparent that I do notice a difference when I eat less sweet. So my question to you, do you notice a difference when you eat more whole food as opposed to eating processed food? All right. Go ahead and leave that comment down in the chat area. We appreciate it very much. And the third question we want to ask is, what barriers keep you and your family from eating fewer ultra processed food? And uh, how could your community or resource help? So, based in other words, what can we do as health practitioners like myself? What can we do to help within the community to ensure that we are incorporating into the school system, into those communities where access to healthier food uh, is challenging? How can we, as uh, public health practitioners, how can we help within that community? Okay. So again, we're going to ask those questions again. The first question we're going to ask you again is, what processed food do you find hardest to give up and why? Go ahead and leave your response in that chat area. We are greatly appreciated. Okay. The second question is, do you notice a difference when you eat more whole food as opposed to eating more processed food? Okay. And if you never thought about it, now's a good time to start thinking about it because we're providing you with that information to make that very important health decision. And lastly, what barriers keep you and your family from eating fewer ultra processed food? And how could your community or resource help you with that? Okay. Now, so we want you to think on these things we just talked about, those questions that we just presented to you. Think on them. And again, share your insight with us. We'd love to hear your thoughts on that. You can leave those thoughts down in the chat area. We greatly appreciate it. Dr. Willis and I will review them and everything, and we more likely will share them. Okay? So your voice could inspire somebody else for their healthy journey, to begin their healthy journey. All right? So our closing thoughts here on tonight is that ultra processed food, they are convenient. Yes, they are, but they're not neutral. They are convenient, but they're not neutral. That's their that's their whole purpose, their whole goal, to be cheap, convenient, and easily accessible. Okay? The evidence is growing that too much ultra processed food, and we're already at 60% of our caloric intake is already ultra processed food. So the evidence is growing and continues to grow that too much of ultra processed food can raise serious risk to your health, including the risk of cancer. And think about it, if you already a high risk for cancer, whether it's due to hereditary issues, aging, and now evidence is now showing that ultra processed food also increases your risk, possibly could increase your risk for cancer. So that's something to really think about in moving forward, changing our eating habits, changing our eating pattern. And again, remember I said, let's retrain our mind from saying what I have to subtract from my diet. And let's focus more on what do I need to add to my diet. I need to add more fruits. I need to add more vegetables. I need to add more whole grain. So think about adding and not subtracting. Okay? Even though it is said that ultra processing food, evidence is now showing that the more ultra processed food that you and I consume, it increases our risk for health issues, including cancer. But the good news is that with awareness, such as I'm presenting to you tonight, and making those small changes, like I say, making those swaps. So instead of drinking that can of soda, get you some sparkling water, put you a mint leaf in there and some lemon. That's swapping. Small changes. Now, we're not saying you just got to overnight and change your entire diet. No, we're not saying that. Make those small changes. Lasting change begin with small steps. And this is what we're doing. We're providing you with some small steps. Okay. Also, it calls for collective action. It calls for group action. You can incorporate this in with your family, in your meal planning, and things of that nature. A collective issue, and we can reclaim our health one meal at a time. That's all. One meal at a time. So stop and just think about that for a moment. Think about it. You can change the trajectory of your health by simply making one small change in your dietary intake. And that one small change could be this week, I'm going to eat more fresh fruits. Next week, I'm going to eat more vegetable. The following week, I'm going to add more whole grain into my diet. You see what I'm saying? Making those small baby step, not making a change dramatically overnight. Those small change leads to sustainability in your dietary intake, and as a result can also increase your risk of becoming more healthy. But you got to start somewhere. Make those small changes. Okay? All right. So we really do thank you for joining us here on tonight. We hope that this podcast has been beneficial and helpful to you. And if it has, please make sure you give us a thumbs up. Make sure you like, share, tag someone, get this information out to somebody, because I believe that if we start here, we can reach a whole community, but we got to start somewhere. And change starts with you and me. Okay? I appreciate you so much for joining us tonight. Listen, please go to our webpage. I am placing the webpage link in the chat area. If you want to formulate a wellness plan with us, if there is some type of consultation that you want with us, we here at He Cares Training and Education Center, myself along with Dr. Willis, we are here to provide you with whatever support we can. And like I said, if you go to our website, again, it is in the chat area. You can go to the website. We do have on there where you can set up a discovery appointment. That way we can sit, have a discussion about what your desires are, and we can formulate a plan for you. Okay. Again, our website is in the chat. Just click on that link and it will take you to the web page, and you can set up a discovery appointment with us, or you can give us a call. With that number is in the chat as well. But the best way to get us is through our website and do that discovery appointment. That is the best way. You can call us, but the best way again is to go to the website. All right. Also, if you're not following us on Facebook, please follow us on our Health Talk page on Facebook. And if you're not subscribed to our Health Talk YouTube channel, please head over there and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that bell so that you can get notification each time we go live or each time we upload new material. Okay? So please do that for us. Make sure again that you like, tag, and share. Like, tag, share. Please do that for us. Like, tag, and share. All right. Be sure and join us tomorrow night beginning at 8 o'clock as we look at a cultural shift that is happening in America. And that is alcohol consumption is declining. Yeah, let's talk about that. So join us tomorrow night. We're going to talk about alcohol consumption in decline within America. That is good news. All right. We'll explore why more people are rethinking alcohol and what this means for health. All right. Again, we appreciate you to the highest. Thank you for taking your time to join us. We hope that this podcast has been beneficial to you. And if it has, please make sure you like, tag, share. Like, tag, share. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that bell so you can get notification whenever we upload new material. Go to our website, set you up a discovery call. We do wellness coaching, we do consultation. Dr. Willis and myself. We also will do workshop. We do trauma informed workshops for faith based, any type of ministry. We do it for organization. Again, go to that website, hit that discovery appointment, and let's talk about it. Let's see what we can do to help meet your health need in any way, shape, form, or fashion, whether it's mental, spiritual, physical. Give us a reach out and we'll see what we can do. All right. Until tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, make sure you tell somebody about tomorrow night. I'm Dr. Corbett. Now, whether you remember the scripture we gave you at the beginning of the podcast, First Corinthians, the 10th chapter, the 31st verse, taken from the New International Version. It is, so whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all to the glory of God. This is Dr. Corbett. This has been Health Talk. Health Talk is a part of He Cares Training and Education Center, LLC, located right here in the beautiful city of Florence, South Carolina. We do video conferences. So wherever you might be in the United States, give us that discovery appointment, schedule that a discovery appointment, and we can do video conference, we can do virtual. We are here for you. You just got to reach out to us and you got to let us know what it is that you're looking for and that you're needing. Okay? All right. Until tomorrow night, you stay wise, stay nourished, stay well, stay healthy. And until then, you take care, and we hope, the Lord's will, to see you back tomorrow night. God bless you, and good night.